Welcome back to Exotic Car Play Place, everybody. Mark here again, checking in with the brand new BMW 330i xDrive car. And if you saw the last video, you'll know I did a review on it. I went from top to bottom, drove it, showed you all the ins and outs. But today we're going to talk about 5 things I love and 5 things I hate about this car. So let's get started now. So firstly, let's get into the 5 things I don't like about this car after spending some time with it. The first thing is, even though it has a very luxurious feel, it looks great, it smells great, nicely contoured, very well styled, there is still a massively extended use of plastics in the interior. Now, I know it's a 3 Series car, and I know it's not their premium version, but the dollars are getting up there, so you expect the plastics to be replaced with some other materials, for example, more leathers, or possibly even little touches of carbon. I mean, for a small amount of cost on a mass production line, why wouldn't you put in little touches of even accents of carbon fiber? But that's fine. Even too much plastic, though, is just a little too much for me. You've got plastic on the handles here, plastic up here. The whole dash is plastic, plastic, plastic. I mean, it's not unusual for manufacturers to use plastic. It's lower cost, it's lightweight, it wears well. I get it. However, this is a BMW. You expect a little bit more premium materials than you're getting on the interior. So the second thing I don't like about this car is the outright cost. It's the 3 Series. It's what yesterday used to be considered their entry-level car. Now, I know they have 1 Series, 2 Series, and that. Now we're into the 3 Series. It's sort of lower mid-level of the range of the lineup. But the prices have gone up and they're escalated, and the price of this car is quite expensive if you check MSRP at your local dealership. Depending on whether you're from Canada or US or in Europe, you'll find the prices are quite high as a base MSRP even. You start loading it up, prices really start getting up there. And forget about even looking at the 340. The 340 is really the performance car, but if you're looking for value, you won't find it in the 340. This car is better value than the 340, but it's still quite high for a 4-cylinder car. So the third thing that really annoys me about this car, and I've said this in other videos on other BMWs that I've test driven before. Now granted, this is not unique for BMW. This is an industry standard really as such. It's more of a beef with the industry and that type of technology. And it really is the auto shutoff. When you come to a stop, the engine turns itself off. Now, I'll show you, I'll give you a little demonstration. So we're driving along, we're in comfort mode, and I'm gonna stop. And the car turns off. To me, that's a little annoying because then when you're setting off again, there's a little bit of a delay. If all of a sudden you gotta get quickly into traffic or it's a quick light change and you have to respond quickly, there's a little bit of a delay, a 1/4 second delay from the time it starts or a 1/2 second delay to the time you actually set off. The other thing is to consider that you've got to wonder if there's extra wear and tear on the starter, the ring gear, any of the electrics that are going to take a wear and tear and a beating as a result of excess use. So that in itself, I'm not in love with the concept. Now, the only way to turn it off on this car, other cars, there is a defeat button around it. If you've seen previous videos of mine, I reviewed the M4 last year. It actually had a button right next to it. You could disable that system. On this car, you cannot disable it. The only way to directly disable it in this car is to turn your mode to sport mode. So if I use sport mode, that's when you totally disable it. So when the car's in sport mode, it will not automatically turn the car off, and I'll demonstrate. Car's still running. So in sport mode, you can disable it, but you don't always want to go to sport mode. You default, you turn the car on, it goes to comfort mode, and it's automatically start-stop enabled. And I honestly don't like that style. I think it's just wear and tear on the car when you don't need it. So the fourth thing I don't really care about this car is mainly the sound. Even though it's a 4-cylinder, you'd have to expect it, but it's the sound. Now, I mentioned in my review that the car is really quiet, and it is when you initially set off or if you're on 1/4 throttle. But when you accelerate, I find the 4-cylinder engine sounds a little raspy and like it's working too hard, and it just doesn't sound ideal. Here, take a listen. At times, not every time, but it sounds like it's working a little too hard at times. And 4-cylinder engines, in my opinion, never sound exotic. And for a person that likes fast cars, and remember, life's too short to drive boring cars. So to drive fun cars, you're gonna miss the sound in this thing because it sounds like a 4-cylinder car. And sometimes it feels a little strained. And a car that feels strained does not sound enjoyable to drive. So again, it's just more the sound, the raspiness of the 4-cylinder engine that I'm not in love with. So everybody knows that I like the sporting experience, and everybody also knows that the 3 Series has a character of performance, sporting character. But guess what? BMW, in my opinion, has sort of lost some of that. Why? Because now all you can get is an automatic transmission. You can no longer get a manual gearbox in any of the non-M cars in the 3 Series lineup. Very disappointing from a person that loves to roll the gears. This car no longer has a manual transmission available. For me, that's a major downfall in this new BMW 3 Series car. So let's get into the top 5 things that I really like about this car. Let's keep things positive. On a positive note, the performance is the first thing that I like. Now, it is a 4-cylinder engine, and it's not going to knock your socks off. But I will tell you, with close to 260 horsepower and almost 300 pound-feet of torque, this car actually has a lot of power, a great performance. It handles well, the steering is regulated based on your vehicle speed, and overall it feels very natural for the 3 Series car, the characteristic of what you would expect from a 3 Series. It handles well, it accelerates strong, it sounds decent, there's an exhaust tone there. Overall, everything is there. The brakes are solid, the handling, everything is packaged up very nice, very balanced. And performance is a great element of this new 3 Series BMW. So the second thing I love about this new 3 Series car, I really do actually, because finally they've got up to speed on some of the technology. For example, the digital display. It's about time BMW did something there. We know Audi's been doing it for a while, Benz and Porsche, and a lot of the brands have been bringing digital displays to the dashboard. Finally, BMW got on board with that. The 3 Series car is finally equipped with the digital display. Now, I know not everybody's going to love that. There's something to be said for the conventional analog gauges. Number one, they're easier to see in bright lights. Like, the bright light does have an impact on this in a negative way. But the gauges, a lot of people like a traditional gauge. They're clean, they're always there, they're consistent, and there's less to break. Everybody worries about the reliability on a digital display. What's the electronics going to do in 10 years, 15 years from now? Is it going to wear out? Is it going to burn out? Is it going to cost you $2,000 for a new console? Who knows? I guess time will tell. But I like the concept, I like the principle, I like the display. And to me, it's about time they got up to speed with that. The third thing I like about this new 3 Series BMW is the new technology spread throughout the car. Now, a lot of it's not painfully obvious, but a lot of it's hidden. So first of all, you have the latest iDrive system, which, is touchscreen, larger in diameter, and more importantly, it's better integrated than the previous generation car that stood up almost like a wart. This car here now has a better integrated iDrive screen that fits better. It blends in with the dashboard a lot nicer than the previous version. As well with that, when you go to navigation, you select where you want to go. You can do one of a couple of things. So you can pick your letters, write your alphabet out. You can either do touchscreen or you can do it on the pad with the wheel. Or what you can do is with this, you can use it as a touchpad and you can write the letter. Now you want to write the letter?
R T A.
So as you can see, you can use it in several different capacities. Touchscreen, through the rolling pad, or the touchpad. So that's a great new element, a new feature on here. As well, you have all the other things. You have lane assist and accident avoidance. You have all those little features, some of which you had previous, some of which you didn't. As well, you have some other great technology at play here. If we look down here, we have Bluetooth and we have other things that are pretty generic, but we also have a charger. So you put a phone charger in there, and now your phone can charge while you drive. So that's a great feature I like. As well, another great technology with your smartphone, you get the app from BMW, you download the app, you go in, now you can actually see remotely on the app the condition of your car, the temperature, all the elements that are going on with your car. You can also activate a remote start with your iPhone from in your office, from in your home. If it's cold outside, you don't want to go outside, you can go, scroll through the app, take a look, hit start, and bingo, it'll run. So it has some great features. It also has a remote swipe card, so you don't always need the actual key, the fob. You can actually use the swipe card that BMW provides you to actually get into the car and start the car and move on your way. So the fourth thing I love about this great new BMW is some of the styling elements. Let's take a closer look. Okay, down here on the front splitter, some great new designs, very sharp looking, very attractive. Overall, nice look there. Then we move up to the kidney grills. Wider band around there. We have these great new grills, fat, beefy looking. They open and close as needed. Sharp looking new design. Then we move around here. If you look at this input here, what we have is there's a little bit of a vent here. And this actually goes through. There's airflow that helps cool the brakes and also helps with the overall drag coefficient. So air flows around the car a lot better. Then let's move around over here. And you'll see some of the design elements. We've got some angularities here, which follow the line down here, give it that extra little, stout look. We've got some great lines here, a secondary line over here as well. And then, we've got the cutoffs, sharper edges around the back, which kind of give it that more aggressive look. Then we've got these awesome new taillights, look sharp, consistent with the brand, very much like you'd find on the new X5s and the M series and any of the 5 series. You'd find typical of this. It's consistent with the brand. Then we have more accents, design elements in here, some lines here, these little touches. Overall, a lot of great design themes packaged into this great new 3 Series car. Okay. So the fifth reason I really love this new BMW 330 sedan is practicality. Let me explain a few things. Now, a lot of sedans are pretty typical for practicality, but there's a few new unique touches. So let's move along. So first of all, let's look at this. The first thing we want to look at for practicality is the fact that this car is driven by 4 wheels. This is the X-Drive, so it's all-wheel drive. There's lots of sedans out there. Not all of them are all-wheel drive. This one is. With X-Drive, this means that you can drive in snow and winter and summer and all of it. It does everything. It can drive in any conditions and really does a great job of transporting you safely in any kind of driving conditions. Now, that's the first thing. Second thing is, because of the technology, you've got the safety systems from ABS to lane assist to collision warning systems. So that's, in its own right practical. You've also got things like heated steering wheel here and heated seats, which make it very comfortable and practical for day-to-day use. Then we move to the back of the car. And then we look through the back. Practical, why? Well, we actually have seating for 3. There's room for 3 people. 1, 2, 3. You've got seat belts for 3. You also have 2 connections in the back as well as one of your DC outputs. So lots of connectivity in this car throughout. Make sure all your passengers are comfortable and have lots of fun while driving. Close that up. We also move along to the rear of the car and we look at the mass and vast amount of trunk space, which allows you to store a lot of material, a lot of contents, which makes that very practical in its own right. And especially for a 3 Series car that isn't overly large in the first place, there's a lot of storage capacity in this car, making it very practical. One other practical element, because it's a 4-cylinder engine, sure, it's turbocharged and can use a little bit of fuel, but as a 4-cylinder engine normally does, it tends to save fuel. So in eco mode, this thing is very, very thrifty on fuel consumption. So that in itself makes it very practical. Overall, it's a very well-loved package, does a lot of great things, is very economical and practical, but it's very sporty and can be quite aggressive with the sounds and the acceleration when you need it to be. So guys, I really hope you enjoyed that video. If you want to see more on this particular car, like I said, video review in the link right here. Make sure you click on that. That's going to show you every in and out about this car, the drive, the interior, the exterior, some of the details and specifications. Make sure you come back for the next one. I hope to see you guys soon. Catch you then. Bye-bye.